A glimpse into the world of rare U.S. coins reveals a shocking secret. Some Roosevelt dimes, once thought to be ordinary, have now skyrocketed in value, making them one of the most expensive coins in American history. Welcome to our channel, where we explore the fascinating world of numismatics. Stick around as we uncover these ultra-rare treasures and discover what makes them worth a fortune. The 1999 USA One Dime coin is a fascinating piece of American numismatic history, one that has captured the attention of collectors and coin enthusiasts. On the surface, it may appear to be just another dime, but this particular coin holds a unique story that explains why it has garnered so much interest in recent years. To understand why the 1999 dime is so highly valued today, we need to explore its historical context, its design, the minting process, and, most notably, a rare error that has turned this coin into a sought-after treasure for collectors. The story of the Roosevelt Dime starts back in 1946 when Franklin D. Roosevelt's likeness was chosen to appear on the coin. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, was not only a beloved leader but also a figure whose impact on the country during the Great Depression and World War II made his image a fitting symbol of strength and resilience. The Roosevelt Dime, designed by artist John R. Sinek, has remained largely unchanged since then, with Roosevelt's portrait gracing the obverse and a reverse design featuring a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch. The design of the dime itself is simple yet meaningful. The torch represents liberty, the olive branch symbolizes peace, and the oak branch stands for strength. These symbols were carefully chosen to reflect the values that Roosevelt embodied during his time as president. The design has remained a constant part of American currency, representing the nation's ideals and serving as a reminder of its history. Fast forward to 1999. The U.S. Mint was preparing for the new millennium, and the coinage of the 1990s was coming to an end. It was a time of transition, with the Mint introducing the 50-state quarters program, a series of commemorative coins that would feature each of the 50 states. This program, which began in 1999, captured the public's imagination and reinvigorated interest in coin collecting. The first quarter, representing Delaware, was struck in 1999, but amid all these changes, one small but significant error occurred, one that would ultimately make the 1999 dime stand out. While the 1999 dimes continued to bear Roosevelt's familiar image and the symbolic reverse design, a minting error occurred in some of these coins, creating a rare and valuable variety. The error was subtle yet significant. Certain 1999 dimes were struck without a mint mark. The mint mark, which indicates where the coin was produced, typically appears just below the date on the obverse of the dime. For most dimes, this mint mark would show either a D for Denver, P for Philadelphia, or S for San Francisco, depending on the mint facility that struck the coin. However, in some cases, 1999 dimes were produced without any mint mark at all. This absence of a mint mark created an error that collectors soon began to notice. These mint-markless dimes quickly became highly sought after, as they were a rare anomaly in the minting process. To the untrained eye, the coin might look like any other dime, but to collectors, it was a special discovery. This subtle mistake in production turned what would have been an ordinary dime into something of great value. In the world of coin collecting, errors are often the key to a coin's worth. A mint-markless dime is not only a rarity but also a unique example of how even a small mistake in the production process can lead to something highly collectible. Coins with minting errors often fetch higher prices, as they are perceived as rare and unusual. This was the case with the 1999 dimes that lacked a mint mark. These error coins became a hot commodity, with collectors eager to find them and add them to their collections. As word spread about the missing mint mark error, demand for these coins grew. People began searching through rolls of dimes, inspecting each coin carefully in hopes of finding one of these rare pieces. Over time, the 1999 dime with no mint mark became a symbol of the excitement and thrill of coin collecting. The value of these coins steadily increased as more collectors became aware of the error and its significance. The reason these mint-markless 1999 dimes are so valuable lies in their rarity. While a typical 1999 dime is worth only 10 cents, the error coins, those without a mint mark, are a much rarer find. The minting mistake means that only a limited number of these coins were ever produced, and as time goes on, the number of these coins in circulation continues to dwindle. This scarcity has made the mint-markless 1999 dime a prized item in the world of numismatics, but just how much can a 1999 dime with no mint mark be worth? The value of these coins depends on several factors, including their condition and the level of demand among collectors. While a regular 1999 dime may be worth no more than its face value, a 1999 dime with no mint mark can sell for a significant amount, sometimes reaching as much as $33,000. This extraordinary value is not just due to the minting error itself but also because of the rarity of the coin and its appeal to collectors who are eager to find a piece of American history that stands out from the rest. The value of these coins has continued to rise over the years, as collectors become more and more aware of their rarity. Some of the most well-preserved examples of the 1999 dime with no mint mark have sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction, making them one of the most valuable dimes in circulation. It's not just about the error, it's about owning a piece of numismatic history that is both rare and incredibly desirable. So, if you've ever come across a 1999 dime in your pocket change or have one in your collection, it may be worth taking a closer look. That seemingly ordinary dime could be the key to an unexpected treasure. For those who have one of these rare coins in excellent condition, it could be worth as much as $33,000. Yes, that's right, this little dime, which might seem insignificant to most people, could be worth a small fortune. In the world of coin collecting, it's proof that sometimes, the most unexpected finds can lead to the biggest rewards. The 1983 USA One Dime coin might seem like just another ordinary coin to the average person. It's small, silver, and commonly seen in everyday transactions. However, within the world of numismatics, this specific dime has a captivating story behind it, one that has led it to become a rare and valuable piece sought after by collectors. While many of us pass over coins like the dime without much thought, some coins carry a deep history, an intriguing error, and a value far beyond their face value. Let's take a deeper dive into why the 1983 One Dime coin has become one of the most intriguing and valuable coins in the market today. Before we examine the specifics of the 1983 dime, it's essential to understand the long-standing history of the Roosevelt dime itself. The Roosevelt dime, introduced in 1946, has remained largely unchanged in design for decades. It features the profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who served during one of the most turbulent times in American history, the Great Depression and World War II. Roosevelt's likeness on the dime was a posthumous tribute, as he passed away in 1945, and his image was meant to commemorate his leadership and his legacy of battling the challenges of his era. Designed by John R. Sinek, the Roosevelt dime has become a symbol of American resilience. On the reverse side of the coin, there is a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, symbols representing liberty, peace, and strength. These elements were carefully chosen to mirror the qualities Roosevelt embodied, both during his presidency and beyond. The simple yet powerful design has remained on U.S. dimes ever since, making it one of the most recognizable and enduring designs in American coinage. By the time we reach 1983, the Roosevelt dime was a staple of U.S. currency. But in that particular year, something unusual happened that would change the fate of one particular group of dimes forever. At first glance, the 1983 dimes look like any other, featuring Roosevelt's portrait and the iconic reverse design. However, there was a subtle but important difference that many might have overlooked. The U.S. Mint in 1983 was dealing with a number of changes and challenges, particularly related to the cost of producing coins. The rising cost of copper led to the minting of dimes with a different metal composition than in previous years. The mint switched from a coin made primarily of silver and copper to a more cost-effective mixture of copper and nickel. But while this change affected the production of many coins, there was an even more significant change in some 1983 dimes, an error in the minting process that created a very unique variety. Some of the 1983 dimes were mistakenly struck with a different type of planchet, or coin blank. These dimes, instead of being produced with the standard composition and thickness, were accidentally struck on a different type of planchet. The result was a dime that was much thinner than the standard 1983 dime. But it wasn't just the thickness that set these coins apart. These error coins also had a different weight and color compared to the normal 1983 dimes. They were almost as if they had been struck with a different metal mixture, even though they were still technically part of the 1983 production. This mistake created a rare, out-of-the-norm coin that would become a highly coveted collectible. To most people, these differences would be imperceptible. After all, a typical 1983 dime looks just like the millions of other dimes that were minted that year. But to the experienced eye of a numismatist, a coin that deviates from the norm is something worth paying attention to. It wasn't long before these special error coins were noticed by collectors who were quick to realize that they were not only unusual but also extremely rare. In the world of coin collecting, errors are highly prized. A minting mistake can transform an otherwise ordinary coin into something special. Collectors have long been fascinated by coins that deviate from the usual design or production process. Whether it's a misshaped die, an unusual strike, or a coin struck on the wrong planchet, errors are often seen as a sign of rarity and exclusivity. In the case of the 1983 dime, the unusual thickness and weight of the coin made it a standout piece among the millions of standard dimes in circulation. The interest in these 1983 error dimes grew steadily as collectors began to hunt for them. The rarity of these coins, combined with the fact that they were difficult to spot, made them even more desirable. Only a small number of 1983 dimes had been struck with the wrong planchet, and most of those coins had either been lost in circulation or remained unnoticed by the general public. As more experienced collectors caught wind of the error, demand for these rare coins grew. The value of the 1983 dime with the minting error has steadily increased over the years. Initially, the coins might not have been worth much more than their face value, but as the rarity of these coins became more apparent, their prices started to climb. The rarity of the error, coupled with the limited number of these coins that remain in circulation, has made them highly valuable to collectors. But just how valuable is a 1983 one dime coin with this rare minting error? While the average 1983 dime is worth just 10 cents, a dime with the error can be worth far more. The rarity of these coins, combined with their unique characteristics, has caused their price to rise dramatically in recent years. The value of a well-preserved, error-free 1983 dime can now reach prices as high as $90,000. Yes, that's right. A dime worth only 10 cents could be worth tens of thousands of dollars to the right collector. The price can vary depending on the coin's condition, its rarity, and the demand from collectors at any given time. However, certain well-preserved examples of the 1983 error dime, particularly those that feature the most prominent and recognizable minting flaw, can fetch astronomical sums at auction. This coin, once seen as just a piece of change, has turned into a true numismatic treasure. So, why is this coin worth so much? The answer lies in its rarity, the mistake in the minting process that led to its unique characteristics, and the demand among collectors who are eager to own a piece of history. A coin like this, struck with an error that makes it stand out from millions of others, is always going to be valuable, and as time goes on, the value of these coins only increases as more people realize how rare they are. Coins, often seen as mere currency, hold far more than just the value printed on them. In the world of numismatics, there are coins that tell fascinating stories, coins that have become symbols of history, and coins that have been hidden gems waiting to be discovered. Among the many coins that have captured the imagination of collectors over the years, one stands out for its rarity and unique characteristics, the 1975 US dime. A coin that, in the right conditions, could be worth far more than its face value of 10 cents. The 1975 dime, part of the beloved Roosevelt Dime series, is not only a piece of currency, but a symbol of American history. But why would such a small coin, one that we use every day, command such attention and fascination? The answer lies in an unexpected error that occurred during the minting process. To understand why this particular dime is so valuable, we need to dive into the history and the circumstances that led to this rare and valuable find. Let's start by understanding the context in which the 1975 dime was created. The Roosevelt Dime series, first introduced in 1946, has become one of the longest-running and most iconic coin series in U.S. history. The design of the dime, featuring a profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, was meant to honor his legacy, especially his leadership through the Great Depression and World War II. The dime's design, created by John R. Sinek, remains mostly unchanged to this day, with Roosevelt's portrait on the front and a symbolic reverse showing a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch representing liberty, peace, and strength. The Roosevelt dime was introduced not long after Roosevelt's death, and its release into circulation was a tribute to the lasting impact he had on the United States. The dime quickly became a staple of American currency, and for nearly 3 decades, it continued to circulate without incident, providing people with a dependable form of currency in their everyday lives. But by the time we reached the 1970s, a shift began to occur in the world of coin production. The U.S. Mint, responsible for producing the nation's currency, was faced with rising costs, particularly the rising price of metals like copper. As a result, the Mint began experimenting with different metal compositions in an attempt to lower production costs. This shift would eventually lead to the creation of an error coin, a coin that would become extremely rare and, eventually, highly valuable. The year 1975 itself was relatively uneventful in the history of U.S. coins, but an error in the minting process would change everything. During the production of the 1975 Roosevelt Dimes, some of the planchets used to strike the dimes were mistakenly prepared in a way that led to an imperfect minting process. While the regular Roosevelt Dimes from that year were struck on standard planchets, blanks made from a specific metal alloy, a small number of dimes were struck on a different type of planchet altogether. This unusual mistake in the production of the 1975 dimes resulted in a coin with a unique set of characteristics. For the most part, the differences between the error dimes and their regular counterparts were subtle but significant. The mistaken planchets used in the production of the error coins resulted in dimes that were slightly off-center or featured a distorted design. Some of the error coins were also thinner than regular dimes, and others were struck with inconsistent pressure, leading to a variety of anomalies. While the minting of these error coins wasn't intentional, these misstrikes are now considered rare and highly desirable. In fact, the error dimes from 1975 have become some of the most sought-after coins among collectors. The scarcity of these error coins, combined with their distinctive features, has made them prized possessions in the numismatic community. Coin collectors are always on the lookout for errors and unusual traits in coins. A slight deviation from the normal minting process can often lead to a coin being considered more valuable, especially if the mistake is rare. For many collectors, finding an error coin can be like discovering treasure. The 1975 dimes that were struck with the minting error certainly fit this description. The error dimes were not produced in large numbers, which makes them even more valuable today. The coins that were struck incorrectly are considered rarities because there were only a small number of them created before the mistake was corrected. Many of these error dimes were lost over time as they circulated, which means that those remaining in good condition have become highly sought after by collectors. In the world of numismatics, the condition of a coin is key to determining its value. The more pristine the coin, the higher its value. Because the error dimes from 1975 were struck with different planchets and under unusual circumstances, finding one in excellent condition is a rare and exciting discovery for collectors. The fact that these coins were meant to be everyday currency, yet have survived in such good condition, only adds to their allure. Collectors who specialize in error coins often seek out those with the most unique and pronounced characteristics. The 1975 Roosevelt Dime, with its off-center strike, distinctive thickness, and other anomalies, checks all the boxes for collectors looking for something special. Over time, the interest in these error coins has only grown, as more and more collectors realize just how rare they are and how much value they hold in the market. So, what is the value of a 1975 USA One Dime coin today? While the value of most dimes remains quite low, the error dimes from 1975 are an entirely different story. In fact, a well-preserved example of this rare error coin can command an impressive price at auction. Depending on the condition of the coin, the rarity of the specific error, and the demand in the market, these dimes have been known to fetch up to $117,000. This value is a far cry from the coin's original face value of just 10 cents. It's a testament to the rarity and desirability of this unique piece of U.S. currency. Over the years, as collectors have sought out these error coins, the price has steadily risen, making the 1975 Roosevelt Dime one of the most valuable dimes in circulation today. The $117,000 price tag for these rare dimes is not just a reflection of their unique characteristics but also a sign of the growing interest in error coins and the increasing demand for rare and collectible U.S. currency. As the market for rare coins continues to grow, coins like the 1975 dime will likely continue to increase in value, especially as fewer of them remain in circulation and in pristine condition. Now, let's take a closer look at the rarest and most valuable top 1 dimes of all time, truly a contender in the world of numismatics. The world of coin collecting is a fascinating one, full of surprises, stories, and hidden treasures waiting to be uncovered. Among the many coins that have captivated collectors over the years, the 1960 USA One Dime coin stands out as a particularly interesting and valuable piece of history. While it may seem like just another coin in the vast landscape of U.S. currency, the 1960 dime has a unique story behind it, one that has made it one of the most sought-after and valuable dimes on the market today. Most of us are familiar with the dime, a small, silver coin worth 10 cents that is part of our everyday lives. But what makes the 1960 dime so special? Is it just another coin that happens to be old, or is there something more to its story? The truth is, there are a few key factors that set the 1960 dime apart from the millions of other dimes produced each year. To truly appreciate the significance of the 1960 dime, we need to take a step back in time and explore its historical context, the design behind it, and the factors that contributed to its rise in value. First, let's talk about the Roosevelt Dime, which the 1960 dime is a part of. The Roosevelt Dime was introduced in 1946, shortly after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt, who had led the nation through the hardships of the Great Depression and World War II, was a beloved figure in American history. His passing in 1945 led to the decision to honor him with a coin bearing his likeness. The Roosevelt Dime was designed by artist John R. Sinek, and it quickly became a beloved coin in U.S. currency. On the obverse, front, of the coin, Roosevelt's profile is featured, and on the reverse, back, side, there is a design featuring a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, symbols that represent liberty, peace, and strength. The simple yet powerful design of the Roosevelt Dime has remained unchanged for decades, making it one of the most enduring and recognizable coins in the United States. By 1960, the Roosevelt Dime had already been in circulation for 14 years. The coin was a familiar sight in the pockets and purses of Americans, and it was commonly used in everyday transactions. However, while the 1960 dime was largely similar to those that had come before it, this year saw a particular set of circumstances that would make some 1960 dimes stand out from the rest. There was an interesting shift in the coin's production during this time, which would lay the groundwork for the coin's eventual rarity and value. In the 1950s and early 1960s, the U.S. Mint was still using silver in the production of dimes, quarters, and half dollars. This was before the U.S. government made the decision to reduce the silver content in coins in response to the rising cost of silver. Silver was an important part of U.S. currency, and the Roosevelt dime, like its predecessors, was made of a combination of 90% silver and 10% copper. This silver composition gave the coin its distinctive color and weight, and it was one of the defining characteristics of the Roosevelt dime. However, in the late 1950s and early 1960s, the price of silver began to rise sharply. By 1960, silver was becoming increasingly expensive, and the U.S. Mint had to find ways to offset the rising cost of the precious metal. As a result, the Mint began experimenting with different coin compositions, trying to find an affordable alternative to the traditional silver mix. These changes in production methods would ultimately lead to the introduction of coins with reduced silver content in the 1960s and 1970s. But before these changes fully took effect, something interesting happened with the 1960 dimes that would set them apart from other coins of that year. Among the standard dimes that were struck in 1960, a few notable mistakes occurred, mistakes that, over time, would make the 1960 dime a highly sought-after collector's item. One of the key factors that makes the 1960 dime valuable today is the presence of an error in some of the coins produced that year. During the minting process, a number of 1,960 dimes were struck with what is known as a double die error. This type of error occurs when the coin's design is stamped more than once, causing a slight misalignment in the appearance of the coin. The result is a coin with a design that appears to be doubled, with the image of Roosevelt's portrait and the text on the coin appearing more pronounced than they should be. These double die errors are particularly valuable to collectors because they are incredibly rare. While the U.S. Mint produces millions of coins every year, only a small number of them are struck with errors, and even fewer are preserved in good condition. The 1960 dime with the double die error is one of those rare exceptions. To the casual observer, it might be difficult to spot the error. But to an experienced numismatist or collector, the double die effect is easy to recognize and makes the coin incredibly valuable. It's worth noting that while the double die error is the most famous mistake associated with the 1960 dime, there are other minor variations that have contributed to the coin's desirability. Some 1960 dimes were struck with slight variations in their weight, thickness, or design due to issues with the minting process. These subtle differences, while not as dramatic as the double die error, still make the 1960 dime an interesting coin to collect. The 1960 dime is also valuable because of its historical significance. The 1960s were a time of change in the United States, both politically and economically. The decade saw the rise of the civil rights movement, the space race, and significant cultural shifts. The coins produced during this period, including the 1960 dime, reflect a moment in American history that many collectors find particularly fascinating. Owning a 1960 dime is like owning a small piece of that history, an artifact from a time when the country was on the verge of significant transformation. So, what is the value of the 1960 USA One Dime coin today? For the average 1960 dime, it's still worth just 10 cents. But for a 1960 dime with the double die error, the value can be much higher. The rarity of these error coins, combined with their historical significance and the high demand from collectors, has led to a significant increase in their value over the years. A well-preserved 1960 dime with a double die error can fetch as much as $130,000 in the right market conditions. This is a far cry from the coin's original face value of just 10 cents, but it highlights how valuable a rare and unique coin can be. The value of the 1960 dime, particularly the double die error coins, has steadily risen as more collectors seek out these elusive coins. The rarity of the double die error, combined with the increasing interest in coin collecting, has made the 1960 dime a prized possession in the numismatic community.